morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Nyland, and I'm a bureaucrat and an introvert who comes here this morning to talk about engagement. You'll see how funny this really is. In my experience, engagement is often the afterthought. I'm here to tell you it should be the thought, first and foremost, woven throughout everything. Yes, I know we all do outreach and engagement, and I'm not talking about the fancy reports or the meetings in community centers or the dot exercises where we rank priorities. I'm not talking about providing that update on a 30% design or the 2-minute public comment that we often hear. Been there, done that, have the t-shirt. I'm talking about working with communities to make them feel seen, heard, and remembered. That's what we're doing in Seattle, and it's working. We've turned things upside down and stopped focusing on projects and started thinking about people. To really understand this journey, we need to understand where we started. Until recently, the City of Seattle and the Department of Neighborhoods operated under a system created over 30 years ago by resolution, the district council system. This district council system included 13 different councils, and it was the system the city used to do outreach and engagement. It was innovative for its time, but a lot has changed over 30 years. Like this. These icons, how we communicate, how we share information, how we interact, all these things that I don't remember my password to. What has not changed over 30 years? This has not changed over 30 years. How the city did outreach and engagement. It's the same structure, the same district councils, and in some instances, the same people. We were operating under a system that worked for some. This is a snapshot of who was at the table. I'd like to say that if you were looking for the pulse of a middle-class Caucasian homeowner, we were the place to go. And I do not say this lightly because I am an older Caucasian homeowner and former chair of the Greater Squamish Council. We are an important voice, but we are not the only voice. We could do better. So we started by stating that barriers exist that prevent people from participating. By saying that out loud, we gave ourselves permission to question our institutional infrastructures and start creating more inclusive systems for involvement. We know that not everyone can attend a community meeting after work. We know that not everyone can attend a council meeting to provide 2 minutes of testimony in the afternoon. We know these structures, while well-intended, actually prevented many from participating. Information is power. Access is the key to being informed. So if we wanted to expand who's at the table, we had to broaden that access and create more opportunities. And that's what we did. In 2016, an executive order was issued directing us to apply an equity lens to how we did outreach and engagement, adding the gravitas to make real change. This directed us to work with every city department on how they did outreach and engagement. It allowed us to reallocate our resources differently, including staff time. It allowed us to do things differently, more equitably. Not everyone shared this opinion or this perspective, and not everyone believed there was a problem. Not everyone believed there were obstacles to participation. Equitable outreach. You'd think this was a duh moment, but a firestorm ensued. Equity was apparently very controversial. I thought it was going to last about 21 days. The firestorm lasted about 19. But this was on every single media outlet there was. And I earned a nickname, Lucifer. I bring this up for 2 reasons, because one of my favorite emails was, "Dear Lucifer," and I so appreciate the politeness of dear while they were hurling insults at me, so I recognized that. But what was especially heartbreaking and funny, I'm named after my mom. So when I was being raked through the coals on social media, she was being tagged. And I get the most awkward phone call. "Hey, Kathy, how are you?" And I'm like, "Great, Mom." She's like, "Everyone's damning me to hell, and I don't know why." And I'm like, she's like, "What kind of job do you have?" And I'm like, "Community." So we do this because we believe that successfully engaging the community in city processes increases the likelihood of public support and delivers better outcomes for all involved. So we set out to do that, successful engagement. We discovered that as a city, we love meetings, lots of meetings. We'd send transportation out on Tuesday to talk to a community, and then we'd send utilities out on Wednesday to talk to that same community. We weren't engaging, we were exhausting. So we flipped our approach. Instead of convening a meeting, we went to community meetings. We met people where they were. We adapted to their format and spoke their language. We talked to people rather than at them. We asked people what they wanted, and we brought those services with us. It was a more holistic, broader conversation with community. And that was just the start. We created new tools. We hired an air traffic controller who would tell transportation to talk to utilities, to talk to parks. And they'd go out together. And we'd say, don't meet on Tuesday because there's a parents' meeting, and Friday's a holy holiday. We kept our old formats, but we tried new ones. Some succeeded, some did not, but we kept trying. And we tested new venues, breweries, soccer pitches. We popped up on sidewalks. We took over parking spaces. We tried virtual reality. And as a result, we heard from more voices. We saw new faces. We changed how the city meets. We served the underserved, and we brought chairs to the table so more had a seat. We provided access to information. And how do we know this is working? Affordable housing. So we had a big initiative that we were asked to help with. And this is what we did over the course of 2 years. We sent out 88,000 postcards explaining what was happening. We convened over 200 meetings. We knocked on 10,000 doors to have conversation on porches. We held telephone town halls. We created videos in 8 different languages, 23,000 shares in language, 10,000 in English. So we tested this approach, and the results? Zoning passed unanimously. And I cannot stress this enough, it's worth repeating. Zoning changes passed unanimously. The numbers show we did a lot, and the votes show it was effective. So wanting to scale this approach up, we applied that equity lens to our work, and we're seeing some encouraging patterns. We are influencing and making an impact. We now have meetings where 250 people are attending, where 7 or 8 languages are being interpreted in real time, where renters are in the room. We have meetings where 40% of the attendees have never interacted with a city before. In our department, we have programs that have increased by almost 400%, where 45% of the participants are first-timers. We have programs where 67 increase in ideas collected. I look at this and I think I'm drowning. I don't know why I picked this slide. It spoke to me. Outreach and engagement is hard work, and it's needed work, and it's important work, and there are days where it feels completely overwhelming, and success is treading water, and it feels like there's not enough coffee or ice cream in the world to help. And then you get this. Thank you notes. Who gets thank you notes? We get thank you notes. So I'm standing here before you to tell you that this can be done. Real, genuine outreach and engagement can be done, and you too can get a thank you note. I've learned lessons along the way, and I find myself saying things over and over again. I'm dating myself here. We are trying new approaches, and not trying is our only failure. We're telling people that they're an important voice, but they are not the voice. We don't believe there's one representative group. Everyone has a voice, and it's our job to hear them. I always like to say outreach and engagement is like an onion. There should be many layers, and yes, sometimes it'll make you cry. So I leave this with you. Put people first. Make it easy, make it fun, share the power, see, hear, and remember community. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your willingness to listen to your communities. I'm Kathy, the innovative introvert.